If you're considering one-to-one devices in the classroom, then you've probably considered Apple's iPad and Google's Chromebook, the market's two top leaders in one-to-one student devices in the classroom. But there's been a long debate. Which one should you use in your classroom? Which one will benefit your students more? The Apple iPad is almost twice as expensive as the Google Chromebook. So considering that, the answer should be simple. We're going to go inside the debate and see which is really worth your money, your school's money, and your school's time, and which is going to be the best for your classroom. Okay, so we're going to first look at iPads in the classroom, and Macaulay.com has actually compiled a great list of pros and cons of iPads in the classroom. So we're going to look at those first. I probably won't have time to go through all of them, so I'm just going to go over some important features and the pros and cons. All right, let's see. Pros of iPads in the classroom. Students love them. Yeah, they're a beautiful tool. It definitely gets kids excited about learning unless they have 5 at home. But most kids don't have that kind of situation, so I think it is very exciting for a lot of kids to interact with an iPad in the classroom. Ease and speed of use and accessibility. This one, major. Just as far as younger kids, you don't have to spend as much time working with interface issues. You don't have to spend as much time as the teacher learning how to use tools. I mean, you click on something, follow directions, click the home button if you want to get back. It's super easy. Apple has done a great job with that. Apps. There's a bunch of apps. I found that on the Apple iPad, in the Apple Store, that apps are usually more expensive than on the Google Chrome store. So you may want to consider that. Are they worth it? Eliminate the need for textbook and allow for customization. I love this one. I think for younger children this is awesome. That they can interact with the text, they can highlight, they can click and listen to it. It will read to them. I've seen great apps that really just help emerging readers. Communication tool, that would be something the Chromebook has as well. Teaches children about technology. That's something the Chromebook has as well. Group collaboration, Chromebook has as well. Cons of iPads in the classroom. No Adobe Flash and JavaScript. That may be something you want to consider when you are purchasing this. Are a lot of your materials, do they require Adobe Flash and JavaScript? How is that going to limit you? This one is major. The iPad is super expensive compared to the Chromebook. You can oftentimes see if you can get them donated or subsidized grants. But yeah, expensive, and sometimes they get lost, stolen. That's something you have to consider. Are you willing to, do you have the budget, and are you willing to take that risk? Yeah, distracting. Chromebook could be a distraction as well, but I think it's nice that the Chromebook you can just close that. iPads, sometimes just having it open, it's so tempting for them to touch it and to do things all the time not school related. Not a content creator. Yeah, this is big for me. I've noticed just doing schoolwork that I use my laptop more than I use my iPad. I have one at home, and if I want to type, I just need a keyboard. I need to be able to multitask, and it's hard to do on the iPad, or it takes double the amount of time. So that's a big one to consider. All right, we're going to move on and look at Google's Chromebook. Here we have a pro and con list listed on Mimeo.com. This blog has been posted by Dan Winkler. So let's start off with the pros of the Chromebook. Very fast startup time. I'm going to say that the iPad has a fast startup time as well, long battery life, 8 hours of continuous use. That's great. I think that's a big issue that educators have in schools, is that they have to keep constantly charging those iPads. And I know if you've had an iPad at home, you may have experienced that as well, that your laptop will probably last a bit longer. Minimal cost and effort to implement. Automatic free updates. You're not going to get viruses. Cost. As little as $250. That is awesome. That for college students, that can be the price of one textbook. So I think we could definitely do that on a lower educational level in elementary schools, middle schools, high schools. That'd be great. That's definitely affordable. Free cloud storage. You're using all of the Google Chrome and Google Drive. Cons, not optimal for teachers. That is a big con, but I don't think you're going to find this necessarily on your iPad either. Some LMSs are not going to, learning management systems, for those of you who don't know, are not going to be able to run on the Chromebook, your gradebook system, that only run on a desktop, so you need Macs, Windows, Linux to run some of those things. Not a great front of the room solution. They may need custom drivers. I think if you're doing a one-to-one thing, that's not something you're going to have to worry about. You don't have Word on it. You don't have Word on an iPad, so you're dealing with the same issue. Less useful when offline. So the Chromebook needs to have Wi-Fi access all the time so you can get on and use the same things that you would use when you're on your Google Drive or Google Calendar, any of those types of tools. I think they're working on making a better offline solution for the Chromebooks, but if a kid doesn't have Wi-Fi or somewhere to plug in at home, then are they really going to be able to use that at home and do things? I think you have the same issue with a lot of iPad apps, but the iPad still can be useful when offline with a lot of features. Also, there is also a lot of wireless hotspots now popping up. I know they just got capabilities to get a wireless hotspot in your car now, and that's becoming quickly available to many cars. So I think this is an issue that is fading and that we're not going to have to worry about so much in the future. Not as useful for younger students. That's huge for me. I am going to say that these are great for middle school where they're getting good with typing, even early or later elementary ed, but I'm going to say these are not good in a kindergarten classroom. So yeah, I would not recommend them there. Point blank, yeah. Finger and pen input is limited. Yeah, this is another thing that I think relates directly with not good for younger students. Younger students really like to react or interact with their fingers on the screen. I think when you take that away, it makes it a little less exciting for them to use this type of device. Cost savings may be short-sighted. So let's see, you could buy a full-blown laptop for $350. I don't think this is a great argument for Chromebooks in schools because that's $100 for each student. That's big. When you count $100 repeating a bunch of times, that's a big number. You are saving a lot of money. Kids don't want the whole piece. You can't fit a whole PC in your backpack. I mean, that's very heavy. You could, but I don't think that's a great idea, and it's huge on your desk. So I love how small they are, and how they're about the same size and weight as an iPad. So I think that's a great feature about them. All right, we're going to go back now, and we're going to compare the iPad versus Chromebook. EdSurge.com has compiled 3 reasons that I agree with that have really show my thinking with why the Chromebook beats the iPad in one-to-one programs. I believe that these three reasons get to the root of it. I think that the pros and the cons can balance out different ways. Many of them can balance out different ways in different classrooms. So we're going to go ahead and look at those three reasons why I believe the Chromebook beats the iPad in education. Reason one, Chromebooks are for creating, iPads are for consuming. This is why I said that iPads are great for younger ages where maybe what they're creating is very simple, and so they spend more time consuming. They're still working on their finger skills, their writing skills, memory, viewing things, just getting them interacting that way is really helpful and good for that place in development. Getting past K through 3 or K through 2, I would say go for the Chromebook because considering Bloom's taxonomy, the highest level of thinking is when you're creating. You're creating in the classroom constantly, and that's something that you're going to be easily able to do on your Chromebook. All right, let's move on to the next. Okay, reason number two, app versus the web. The iPad, you're really going to have mostly app capabilities. You can get on the web from an iPad, but it's really not going to be a great, you're not going to be able to use the web in a great way. It's going to be difficult. You don't have a keyboard. It's going to go much slower. You're not going to be able to do what you can usually do on a laptop with the web. I believe in learning environments now in the modern classroom that we're seeing is that students are really learning using the web as a resource, looking things up, going to YouTube. That is something that's huge, and I think that that is something that students need for their future jobs and in the workforce. So yeah, consider, are you looking for a place that you can view a bunch of apps and they look pretty, or are you looking for something more useful where you can access the web and this huge resource and use it all the time in class? All right, we're going to move on to our next one. My last big reason is the Google ecosystem for collaboration. You get things on your Chromebook with Google that you don't get on the iPad. Collaboration is huge. It's huge in kids' futures as far as their work environment goes and creating something. I mean, you're not going to get to use your iPad as much as I think that you will be using a Chromebook in your classroom, and that is just central to that argument because collaboration is at the middle of central to modern teaching theory, and so you want a tool that is going to help you do that. All right. Okay, so the great iPad versus Chromebook debate. For me, it really boils down to three main reasons. I think you could argue about battery life, screen size, keyboards, those type of things, and never come to a clear conclusion on which one is better. But the three reasons why I do believe that the Chromebook is going to be more useful in your classrooms because Chromebooks are for creating. Hopefully you're using content where your students are creating. iPads are more used for consuming. Reason number two, the apps versus the web. You get more web access and better web access with the Chromebook. Reason three, collaboration. Collaboration is going to be much more streamlined on the Chromebook, and it's going to be, you're going to have it set up already with your Google Drive and all those types of applications that work together. So you have to decide what kind of things are you doing in your classroom. And I do truly believe that the iPads are better in those lower grades, but if you're considering upper grades, then it's a clear winner for me is the Chromebook. All right, thanks for listening.